Hey folks, welcome to Bear Mountain. Today we're just doing a little bit of a walk around and following up on some of the things that we've shown in previous videos over the last month or two. Kind of a status update, if you might call it that. And just kind of show you this is now, I'm not going to give you a specific date, but it's about the middle of May. And this is kind of going to start out here in this tunnel, and this is our Cordon sweet pea project, as well as we did some plantings over here about 4 weeks ago of stock and Snapdragons, and then we've also got further down past the stock, we've just put in some Lisianthus. But kind of wanted to show you the status in this tunnel of the sweet peas for starters. These are all growing on the Cordon method, and I don't know if you all remember, but we did the Jadam microorganism solution treatment to these sweet peas. So we're kind of growing them in a Jadam method. And so we're using the microorganism solution and the liquid fertilizer. And these guys are really looking pretty good. They're just starting to bloom. We're starting to get some. And we're really kind of at a point where it looks like most of them have a minimum of 5 buds, but I'd say a lot of them are 6 and plus. And then we interplanted with the stock on the outside of the row, and we didn't do any selection for singles versus doubles. So we basically put in 3 flavors, if you want to call it that. There's a kind of a light rose pink, and then we have a cherry color and an apricot. And they're all now, these guys have been in since they were planted really about a week or 2 after we planted the sweet peas. So I think this puts them right around, I'm thinking like the beginning of March. Pretty much is when we had these guys put in. And they're now beginning to bloom, and we'll be harvesting on them starting this week, and then they'll be gone. And when they're gone, the sweet peas, as you can see, we've already hit the middle of pretty much of our first leg on our trellising system. And so then what we're going to be able to do after the stock is gone, we're going to try to see if we can lengthen the season by, it's kind of difficult to explain, but basically once the sweet peas get near the top of the trellising system, we're going to start at the back end and create another additional 8-foot section, and we will take these guys and we're going to basically release them from the clips on the string and lie the plant down approximately probably about 4 feet, or maybe a little longer, maybe about 5 feet worth down, and then hook up to the next string. So the idea is we want to kind of, lay the plant down and give it another chance to grow up another 5, 6, 7 feet. So in essence, what we're going to be able to do is get 7 feet of production, or 6 feet of production. I guess it's about 6 feet up to the top of this. And then by laying them down, get another 6 feet of production. So assuming our temperatures, and we can moderate them here in the tunnel, are good, that would extend our sweet pea harvest probably at least another probably 3 weeks. So we could be harvesting sweet peas well into July. Now, one of the things you all might want to notice here is the length of the stems that you get with a Cordon method. This is a kind of a typical example, and what we're talking about is a 16-inch stem on this variety here. And the ones that I see that are starting to be further up the plant are getting a longer stem. So the first ones that came out, if they're near the bottom of the plant, they're kind of, they're maybe 10, 12 inch. But once we start getting up to about 1.5 feet, we're starting to get some nice long stems. And like this one has, looks like about six blooms on it, but they're all nice sized blooms too. So I think this is kind of working out great. Now, one of the things I kind of want to show you folks is what we're doing now for pinching, and how to do that is really kind of, it's pretty simple at this point. One of the things we are doing is, you may notice on the plant that there are very few, if any, tendrils on it. And so what we're trying to do is we go in and we pinch these tendrils off, because I don't want the plants growing into each other. And this requires coming in, you know, and constantly like observing things on a daily basis, and just kind of walking around, and, you know, if you find tendrils on it, just to kind of snip them off. It's just a real quick pinch. The other thing you want to be aware of is branching coming out of the leaf axil bud, and we just pinch those off too. So that's it. That's all there is to it at this. And then as it gets a little taller, we'll put another clip on it, another clip, another clip. The nice thing about these tomato clips, we got them from Johnny's, is that when it comes time to take the actual plant down, either to, you know, kind of extend out the trellising, or just to remove them at the end of the season, it's really a pretty fast matter of going through and taking all the clips down, and then the plant just lays down, and then we'll clip it off, we'll cut the plant off at the ground and just haul it out at that point. So these guys I think are moving along pretty good.
I thought they're right on time when I was hoping that they would be. I mean, I didn't think we'd hit Mother's Day, but I thought we'd be here before late May.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a little cooler in general in April than I guess I would have thought.
Might have sped them up a bit if it had been a tad warmer.
Yeah, just a little bit. You know, and the thing is, I'm just obsessive. Every time I come in here, I go, oh, I could get rid of that. It's labor intensive, but I think it's pretty cool in a sense that
it also makes harvesting incredibly faster and safer. I don't trip on the vines and stuff when I come in to harvest.
Yeah, I mean, it's different than the sweet pea fence that we were doing up front. The sweet pea fence is kind of a wild look, and the plants are going to branch to however they're going to branch. And in this case, what we're doing is we're keeping this to one central leader, and the focus is on the growth tip and the blooms. And once you get up to a certain size, like this one's maybe taking a little bit longer. It's almost like 2.5 feet before it's starting to put out blooms. But now at every axil bud, or every leaf axil, besides getting you know, the possibility of a side branch, you're going to definitely get a blossom bud. And like this guy right here has got, this is 5. That one's 4, so I don't know what happened to that one, but
that's still fine.
It's still fine. And I found one the other day that had, I think it had 8 on it. So
that's what you said.
Yeah, but that could be just a varietal issue too. That we didn't do a super job on saying, oh, this variety, that variety. We just, a lot of this was saved seed.
It was saved seed from, but everything that I grew is what I wanted to grow.
Yeah, I mean, from years past, right?
Yeah, I mean, I got seed from everywhere, and everything I grew, I wanted to grow again, so I harvested seeds all up and down the rows. So it didn't matter specifically what is where. It was just I wanted to have them.
Yeah, and the other thing I find kind of interesting too is when you start growing them on the Cordon method, the leaves look just totally different. They get kind of really, I don't know what the right word is savoyed. I mean, they kind of like get ridges and ruffles, and you know, and sometimes it takes a while for the color, at least on our end. We might be a little short of nitrogen. Maybe we'll add a little bit more, like a nitrogen-based fertilizer in it to kind of give them a little bit of a kick. But these are legumes, and I know the soil from legumes that we've had here in the past have had that they've been able to fix nitrogen. So I think that's a positive. So
on this side?
On this side, okay, This is our last planting of snapdragons before we get ready to do something for fall. So we don't do summer snapdragons. So this is going to be snapdragons that'll be harvested probably in June. And they were started on February 7th. So yeah, we started them in mini blocks and then bumped them up into 6-packs. And then we planted in here about, I'd say it was like early April.
You said 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So it'd be
Yeah, about early April.
right.
That these guys went in. And then the stalk and the bunny tails in the front were just kind of some extras things that we had. So we put those guys in. And I keep looking at the bunny tails. I'm just not really used to raising grasses like this. And I keep looking at it going, that's something, maybe I should weed that out. But, you know, no, I'll leave it alone.
So
And-
we'll update on these
Yeah.
when they start to bloom.
Yeah. So they're doing pretty good. And again, we're using the Jadam solutions on these guys.
No
And
till.
No till, no till at all. And a surface compost, which kind of keeps most of the weeds in check, at least better than in the last tunnel. And let's just take a walk down here and take a look at the last of our stock that were planted, and then we'll take a look at the Lisianthus. Yeah, these guys are all looking actually pretty good. I may want to vent this tunnel a little more. It feels a little warm in here. Okay, this stock here was started on the 2nd of March, and we transplanted in again at about a week after we did the snapdragons. So this would have been somewhere around April 15th or ish or so that they actually went in the ground here.
This is also the last stock
Yeah.
till fall.
Right. We get terrible flea beetle issues. So like when we start getting into late June, July, it's too hot for brassicas for us. And flea beetles start going after these guys. And we even tried fall stock here. And it was the worst experience. I was transplanting them in August, and I would be 15 feet away from something I transplanted, and the first ones I put in the ground already had flea beetles all over them. I mean, it was just like, no, not going to do
we'll
that.
try that, and we'll see how it is for this fall.
Well, I don't know. I'm always leery about trying to do a fall. So this stock here was planted 2 weeks after we planted around the sweet peas. And so it's going to be, it's starting to show some bud, but it's going to be, this is all iron series, isn't it?
It's the only stuff
Oh,
that
except for this one's here is Matilda,
right.
which is something we tried. And then for some reason, it's like the foliage is just, it's not thriving as good. And it was even that way in the block.
I'm pretty much gonna stick with the iron series.
Yeah. And then we had a few in here. I had some rodent problems in here, and I got some. They got a little damage from roots, and so that's like this guy here ended up getting chomped. Kind of was an underground thing, but you know, what are you gonna do, right? Okay, this down here, we have been struggling for years to figure out how to get Lisianthus to the point of growing it from seed ourselves, and we finally this year,
this was the last year.
Yeah, so
if I can't do it this year, I quit.
Yeah.
We didn't want it. We did plugs one time, but it was so expensive, and we still had such loss. We decided that was not the route to go. So I had old seed, and I just said, I'll just try and germinate them one more time. So we did 5 different varieties?
Yeah, we have a Falda Salmon, Voyager Champagne,
Corelli Pink.
Corelli Pink, and a Oh, we had a little bit of Rosita apricot too,
Right.
but
And
and a
lavender.
lavender. So yeah, and
And
I've still got a one tray left of the pink left to plant. I kind of ran out of space on this part of the bed, so I'm going to find a new home for that one. And but these guys were started on the 7th of January, so let's
Yep.
just say that's week 2. They were
Right.
all started at that point. And it's only been in the last 2 weeks that they actually started to grow. It's something significant that I could say, you know, I could transplant. But the root systems looked really good. And I think, you know, they're going to be just fine. We're planting them really intense, so we'll see how they go. I would think, based on prior experience, this is probably going to be something in August that will actually be blooming,
And this
give or
time,
take.
what is different on my side is that when I seeded them, I watered them and I never looked back really. I just kind of let them be. And then we bumped them up. You did some fertilizing
Right.
a couple of times, but then you brought it down to our crate house to grow on.
Yeah, we had some racks set up in there that were
And
cool.
I
It's
think it
cool.
was just benign neglect.
Well,
Nobody,
we had good light,
yeah, better light. But
and
I
they
didn't.
grew on cool. I mean,
I
really,
ignored them.
yeah.
And when I fussed on them before, I didn't have any success. So this time I just sort of said, well, guys grow. And if they grow, I'll be happy. If they don't, oh well. And
What I used on it for fertilizer, and I did this on a 10-day rotation, is I used the Jadam liquid fertilizer made from grass last fall, and I diluted that 1 to 200, which was fairly weak, and that's basically it. So there was enough nitrogen in that to do that, and I just kind of kept on that rotation during the period of time. For the longest time, I wondered if they were actually going to start growing. I mean, they would grow, you know, a little bit, you know, and the leaves that were there would get a little bigger. That's basically the only growth we started to see. But now, like I said, in the last 2 weeks, now when you look at these guys, and this is why we decided to move on to plant, is you can see side branches, they're starting to grow the main meristem there, and they're all kind of hitting that target. So I think that's going to be pretty good. And this bed too, we also amended it with some of the blackberry biochar, which, if you remember from an earlier video, we had that outside, and we were inoculating it and basically stabilizing and getting it ready to be used as a soil amendment. And so I know one of the things that Lisianthus don't like is they don't like to be wet, but I also know too that they need good moisture to do what they need to do. So what I did is I amended this bed with equivalent of that would get it to about 2% biochar in the first about 6 inches. So it was like almost like a 4-gallon bucket of biochar. It's a lot of biochar. but I think, I mean, you can't see, you can see it. I mean, you get close, you can go, oh yeah, there's a piece. But you know, it's all just, you know, really easy to break down, and there's little pieces of it here and there. But you know, for the most part, I think it's going to be great. It's going to help with the moisture retention. Again, that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to get, you know, moisture retention in the tunnels. It's not so much to try to build fertility with the biochar, it's to hold, when we water, it's to hold moisture better in that top, you know, 6 inches.